we're going to make some peach cobbler. This is one of my favorite seasonal desserts to make, and so I'd like to show you how to make some wonderful peach cobbler. I am going to leave the ingredients for you right over here so that you can jot them down. I'll also put them below the video so you can print them out if you like. So I am using my cast iron skillet for this recipe, and I think it gives the cobbler a wonderful variation of texture on the crust from the outside to the center, and you'll see that here in just a bit. So we're going to start with some really good peaches, and I got these at the farmer's market. These are a combination of two different kind of peaches, yellow and white. And you know, just because you're buying peaches in season a lot of times does not mean that they are ripe yet. So you may have to wait a few days for them to ripen up to make the perfect cobbler. So mine were not ripe when I bought them, so I like to just put them in a little paper bag on a single layer and put a little binder clip on there, keep them closed up, and keep them in there until they have a really good peach smell. I kind of go by the smell, and I don't want them to be too soft, but this will ripen them up usually, and I found about 3 or 4 days. They'll be just perfect for cobblers if yours are a little bit firm when you buy them, and maybe they don't have that nice peach smell yet. So give them a little bit of time. It takes a little patience. So if you live in the Southeast United States like me, you may be able to find this particular flour at your grocery store. It is really good. It's perfect for making desserts like this. It's made with a soft spring wheat, and it just makes everything light and fluffy and just beautiful. So if you can get your hands on a bag of that, I recommend it. And also you need to make sure that it is self-rising flour. So the first thing I want to do to get the cobbler going is melt my butter. So I went ahead and put my cast iron skillet on a cookie sheet, which was lined with tin foil, and I melted my 6 tablespoons of butter. My oven was preheated to 375, so I stuck it in the oven while I prepared the syrup and the peaches. So here are some of the spices that I'm going to use in my syrup. I have some vanilla bean paste. You can substitute 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract if you don't have a paste. And then I have some ground cloves along with some fresh nutmeg that I'm going to grate. And if you've not ever tried fresh grated nutmeg, give it a try sometimes if you ever see some whole nutmeg at the store. It really does make a big difference as far as the flavor of your end product. I just really fell in love with fresh grated nutmeg versus already ground and it's been sitting in your cabinet. Just makes a big difference. So now let's go ahead and get started making our syrup. So I'm going to just go ahead and add my water here to my pan. My pan is actually on the stove. My stove is on low heat, very low heat. I'm not going to cook my peaches. I'm just going to get my syrup started this way with the sugar and the water. So I wanted to make sure to dissolve this, and it seemed to be dissolving perfectly. So now I want to go ahead and prepare my peaches. So I'm just peeling them. You can actually blanch your peaches. It should make them very easy to peel, but I'm just doing one cobbler, so this is real easy for me to do it this way. And I'll just slice them off right into the syrup here. They're just dripping with juice and they're beautiful, and this is how you want them. And so these were really big peaches, so I went ahead and cut them down just a little bit, and then I started on my white peaches. Now this particular white peach is called a White Lady, and they are super sweet. I did not expect for them to be so sweet like candy. They are low acid and high sugar. So it isn't, all your peaches are going to be different depending on the variety. So this one is called a Freestone peach, and the other one was as well too. So when you buy your peaches, if you go to a farmer's market, they'll be able to tell you whether it's a Freestone or Clingstone. And Clingstone just means that it's going to be harder for that peach flesh to pull away from the pit in the middle. The Freestone pulls away easy. It will make your job a little bit easier if you choose the Freestone peaches for most of your baking needs, okay? So now we'll go ahead and add our spices to our syrup, and I'm going to freshly grate the nutmeg in here, and I want to add my cloves and then the vanilla bean paste. I need to kind of wash it off. That's my last bit of vanilla bean paste. I need to get some more, so I'm going to rinse it off in here to the syrup. And as I mentioned earlier, the White Lady is a low acid peach, and so I really felt like this needed a little bit more acid. It is just super sweet, and even though I'm not using much sugar, and that's one of the reasons I want to encourage you to use more spices and more flavors in your peach cobbler and substitute the sugar level. I know that a lot of times people use a lot of sugar, but you can get away with not using so much with these really sweet fresh peaches, okay? So I also happen to have a little bit of ginger in my refrigerator, so I thought that would be really good in here. Of course, this is completely optional too, and I encourage you to play with different flavors and try to make it your own. You know, if you just have cinnamon, just use cinnamon, but most people have cinnamon and vanilla, so try both of those just a little bit, and it'll give that peach cobbler a wonderful flavor, okay? So I'm just going to mix all this in together. Remember, I'm not cooking my peaches. The sugar that's in the syrup is going to go ahead and start drawing out some of that moisture. You really don't need to heat it up or anything like that, okay? They're already working their magic over there. So now let's go ahead and get the batter going. We'll add the flour and the milk, a little pinch of salt, along with the sugar. And we'll just give this a good whisk. I want to mix it up. Only mix it up for about a minute. It's not going to be thick. It's a really thin batter. So we'll go ahead and set that aside while I get the cast iron skillet out of the oven. And we are going to add salt to this. I use unsalted butter. So I added a good 2 generous pinches of salt to this. And I like the salty kind of buttery crust right there on the outside and let it crisp up. If you're not really that crazy about the salt on the outside, just use your salted butter or just add a little pinch to unsalted butter. But I do think it's important to put the salt in at this point. And then we're going to add our batter, and don't stir it or anything. And then I measured out the peaches and the syrup so I could let you guys know an accurate measurement, because I think it really turned out good, the ratio of batter to the filling, and it was about 3 cups total after all the juices had been released, and that's what it measured out to be. So we're just going to spoon it over our batter and just lightly drizzle the syrup on there as well. And I went ahead and popped it in the oven. Don't stir it or anything again. I just don't want you to mess it up, so don't stir it. And we'll pop it in the oven. We're going to cook it for about 30 minutes, and then I want to put some sugar on top. I'm putting about 2 tablespoons of sugar on the top, and I'll let it continue to cook till the crust is the way I want it, about 10 more minutes. So I ended up cooking mine, I think, about 40 minutes total. And you want to keep your eye on it because everyone's oven is different. You don't want your crust to get too dark. I really love how it turns out with the edges are all crispy and really just beautiful. And then when you get towards the center, it's more of kind of, it's done, but it's kind of doughy too. And if you live in the South, you know what I'm talking about. We like it a little bit of that doughy kind of texture in the middle, but not pasty tasting like a flour paste or anything. So once it's kind of cooled off about 10 minutes, you'll see that the sides will start to release and start to pull in. And this is about the time I like to go ahead and serve it. It's still very hot, but the nice thing is I'm serving this with ice cream. So I really want it to be pretty warm to melt that ice cream, and it turns into kind of a vanilla bean cream on top, and it's just so good. So I hope you guys can give this recipe a try. It is just a wonderful time of year to be making seasonal cobblers. You can use blackberries for this. Just different kind of things. So let me know how you like it when you give it a try. Try to use a cast iron skillet if you can. If you don't, you might want to reduce the heat to about 350 to cook it. I really want that hot, crispy crust, so I'm cranked up the heat to 375 for the cast iron skillet, okay? I'd also like to invite you to head on over to my channel where you can follow me over there on Google+. I'm only on Google+ and YouTube, and not on Facebook or Pinterest or anything like that, but I do like to share other seasonal recipes with you over there, along with other food related videos. So thanks so much for watching, and y'all have a beautiful day.